Hello guys, in today's video we are going to continue with the chemical properties of haloalkanes. So far we have seen the substitution reactions of haloalkanes and the two different mechanisms followed by these substitution reactions such as SN1 and SN2, and we have also seen the stereochemistry of these reactions. In today's video we are going to see some other chemical properties of alkyl halides. They are elimination reaction and reaction of haloalkanes with metals. So let's move on to the main topic. So the first reaction is elimination reaction. These elimination reactions are also called as dehydrohalogenation of alkyl halide. When we say dehydrohalogenation, D means you're going to remove. Hydrohalogenation, you're going to remove a hydrogen and a halogen from a alkyl halide in the presence of a strong base. So this reaction is called as elimination reaction, which means you're going to eliminate a hydrogen and a halogen from a alkyl halide in the presence of a strong base. So when we say strong base, we can take alcoholic potassium hydroxide. Now look at this haloalkane. See, this is the carbon to which the functional group X is attached. So this carbon is alpha carbon. The carbon to which the alpha carbon is attached is called as beta carbon. So the hydrogen attached to the beta carbon is called as beta hydrogen. So elimination reaction generally happens in haloalkanes which has beta carbon and beta hydrogen. So what happens in the presence of a base? Here we said we are going to take alcoholic KOH. The OH minus ion acts as a base and eliminates a proton from beta carbon atom. So this is the beta carbon atom and this base is going to eliminate a hydrogen from the beta carbon atom. Base is represented as B minus. So this elimination is called as beta elimination, and at the same time simultaneously elimination of a halogen atom also happens from the alpha carbon atom. So as a result, alkene is formed. See, this base, it's going to take the proton. So this bond moves here and this X goes out with a pair of electrons. So there is a double bond. You end up with an alkene. So you started with a alkyl halide. In the presence of a strong base, there was beta elimination, which means the base eliminates a hydrogen from the beta carbon, which is the beta hydrogen, and at the same time what is eliminated? A halogen atom is eliminated from the alpha carbon, so you get a alkene. So the base with the hydrogen and the halide ion has come out. So this is the mechanism of elimination reaction. So let's see this elimination reaction with an example. This is chloroethane. In the presence of alcoholic KOH, what happens? This Cl goes out and this hydrogen also goes out. You get CH2 double bond CH2 plus KCl plus H2O. So this reaction is an elimination reaction in which a hydrogen and a halogen has been eliminated from a alkyl halide in the presence of alcoholic KOH. So to understand it in a better way, I have expanded and written this compound. This is nothing but chloroethane. A chlorine is there and this is CH3, this is CH2Cl. So this hydrogen and this Cl, they are going out. Remember, they are not going out as HCl, but they are going out in the presence of a base. So this is to show both are going out. And then what happens? This bond comes here. So you get CHH, here a double bond and CHH. So this is nothing but ethene plus KCl plus H2O. So this is elimination reaction. As I said, elimination reactions are also called as dehydrohalogenation, and they are also called as 1,2 elimination because the hydrogen and the halogen eliminated are in the adjacent positions, which means 1 and 2 positions. So this elimination is also called as 1,2 elimination. Now let's see this elimination reaction with one more example. So now I have taken 2-bromopropane. See, propane means 3 carbon atoms. In second position, you have bromine. So 2-bromopropane. Now, this carbon atom to which the functional group is attached is called as alpha carbon. And the carbon attached to the alpha carbons are called, called as beta carbon. So this is a beta carbon, this is also a beta carbon. So you have two beta carbons. So the hydrogen can be eliminated from either of these carbons. So if hydrogen is eliminated from this beta carbon, you get CH3, CH, double bond CH2. This is called as propene. Suppose if this hydrogen, okay, from this beta carbon, if this beta hydrogen is eliminated, you will get CH2 double bond CH, CH3, because this Br also will go out. Again, you'll end up with propene. So no difference. So whichever beta hydrogen is removed, you are getting the same compound. So no problem. But look at this example. Here we have 2-bromo-butane. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon atoms. So second position, you have bromine. So 2-bromo-butane. Now, if you treat this haloalkane with alcoholic KOH, there are two possibilities. You can get two products. Now, because you have two beta carbons and you have two beta hydrogens, and now in this case, both the beta carbons are same. This is also CH3, this is also CH3. But here, this beta carbon, it is CH3. But here, you have CH2. Along with that, you have a methyl group. So this is different and from this. So now, what are the two possible products? First thing, if this Br and this hydrogen is removed, you get a double bond here between these two carbons. So CH3, CH2, CH double bond CH2, because the hydrogen and the halogen bromine has been removed. Now come to this side. If this bromine and this hydrogen is removed, you will get a double bond between these two carbon atoms. So CH3, CH double bond CH, CH3. So if these bromine and this hydrogen are removed, eliminated, you end up with but-1-ene. If it is this carbon and this bromine, then you get but-2-ene. So now the question arises, which will be formed? Which will be the major product? Here see, I have written this is 81% and this is just 19%. So which is the major product? This is the major product. So to decide which product will be preferred, we have a rule called Saytzeff's rule. Okay, according to Saytzeff's rule, in dehydrohalogenation, the preferred product is the alkene, which has a greater number of alkyl groups attached to the doubly bonded carbon atoms. See, this is the doubly bonded carbon atom. So this carbon and this carbon are attached by a double bond. So which product will be preferred? That product which has a greater number of alkyl groups attached to the carbon-carbon double bond. So look here. So this carbon-carbon double bond, here you have one alkyl group. This side you don't have any alkyl group. So this double bond has only one alkyl group. Now come to this one. This is the double bond carbon atoms. And this side one alkyl group and this side one alkyl group. No matter what alkyl group, but more the number of alkyl groups. Here you have two alkyl groups. So that product will be preferred. So that's why you're getting 81%. Don't think this is methyl, this is ethyl, this is bigger. That's not a problem. Here two are there. This side one, this side one. Two methyl groups. Here just only one ethyl group to the carbon-carbon double bond. So according to Saytzeff's rule, when a dehydrohalogenation reaction happens, the preferred product is the alkene, which has a greater number of alkyl groups attached to the carbon-carbon double bond. So in this reaction, but-2-ene is the major product and but-1-ene is the minor product. See, just like substitution reactions, elimination reactions also follow two types of mechanism. Okay, one is E1 mechanism, the other one is E2 mechanism. They are just like a substitution reaction. So when we see SN1 reaction, it follows by forming a carbocation. Same way, E1 reaction also follows carbocation formation. So generally, when there is nucleophile attack, there will be a competition between elimination and substitution. So when there is a competition between elimination and substitution, the reaction which actually predominates depends upon these three factors: nature of the alkyl halide, strength and size of the base or nucleophile, and the reaction condition. So based on this only you can decide whether elimination is happening or substitution will happen. Generally, bulkier groups will prefer to act as base by abstracting a hydrogen atom from the beta carbon atom. So as a result, elimination will dominate over substitution. At the same time, the smaller groups will prefer to act as a nucleophile since they can approach the alkyl halide easily and donate electron pair to promote nucleophilic substitution. For example, if you are taking this haloalkane, 2-bromopropane, okay, this is a bulkier group. This is called as tertiary butoxide ion. So a bulkier group acts as a base, so it eliminates beta hydrogen and it forms an alkene, propene. So when the bulkier group is there, it prefers to act as a base, so it results in elimination reaction. At the same time, when the group is a smaller group, then it prefers to act as a nucleophile so that it can donate electron to promote substitution reaction. So in this case, OH minus is a smaller group, so it acts as a nucleophile, so it forms propane 2-ol. So here substitution predominates. But please note, the nucleophilic substitution reaction is always accompanied by some elimination reaction also, and when there is elimination reaction occurring, there will be some substitution reaction also occurring at the same time, but the product will be major minor. So we decide whether the reaction follows by elimination or substitution. The other will be happening in a smaller amount. So this is all about elimination reaction. So next we are going to see reactions of haloalkanes with active metals. When we say active metals, we can take the examples of magnesium and sodium. So the first reaction is reaction of haloalkane with magnesium. Alkyl halides react with magnesium metal in the presence of completely dry ether to form alkyl magnesium halides. They are popularly known as Grignard reagents because they were actually prepared by a French chemist, Victor Grignard, in the year 1900. So he later won a Nobel Prize for his achievement in the year 1912 because Grignard reagents have a great synthetic applications in the synthesis of large number of organic compounds belonging to different families, which you will be seeing when you will be studying the other functional groups also. So this haloalkane reacts with magnesium to form alkyl magnesium halide, RMgX. We call this as Grignard reagent. See, I have taken the example of ethyl bromide. With Mg, you will get C2H5 MgBr. This is called as ethyl magnesium bromide. As I told you, this reaction takes place in the presence of completely dry ether. The reason why we use a completely dry ether, because even in the presence of traces of moisture, these Grignard reagents decompose to form alkanes. See, this is a Grignard reagent. This is ethyl magnesium bromide. If there is water, what will happen? A hydrogen will be taken here, so it will become C2H6. This is nothing but ethane, and MgOHBr. H2O can be written as HOH. So one H will go here and another OH will go here. So you get MgOHBr, you get ethane. So even in the presence of traces of water, Grignard reagents, they form hydrocarbons, that is alkanes. So the next reaction is with sodium. So the reaction of haloalkanes with sodium is called as Wood's reaction. You will be learning about a lot of name reactions in organic chemistry, and you have specific question in board exams based on this name reactions. So the name of this reaction where haloalkane reacts with sodium is called as Wood's reaction. See, this is haloalkane RX. It's reacting with two molecules of Na and another molecule of haloalkane. So this Na and this X will go out as NaX. Okay, so 2 NaX should be there. 2 NaX, R bond R. So what is this again? This is again an alkane. It is an higher alkane because in this Rx you have just one R and here you have another R, but in the product both the R's are together, so this is a higher alkane. Now see with this example, this is ethyl chloride in the presence of 2Na, another ethyl chloride. So what will happen? Na and these two Cl will go out as 2NaCl, C2H5 bond C2H5. This is nothing but CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3, which is butane. So you're starting with ethyl, two ethyls, and you're getting a higher alkane, which is butane with 4 carbon atoms. And this reaction is called as Wood's reaction. So no matter what alkyl halide you take, you can prepare a higher alkane. So we are done with the chemical properties of haloalkanes. We have seen 3 different types of reactions which the haloalkanes will undergo: substitution reaction, elimination reactions, also called as dehydrohalogenation, where we have seen about Sedzeff rule, and the last reaction is reaction with metals. So the chemical properties of haloalkanes are over. So let's have a recall by solving few questions based on these reactions. This is an in-text question given in your book 10.7. So see the question: which alkyl halide would undergo SN2 mechanism rapidly? Explain. So recall what type of alkyl halides will undergo SN2 mechanism faster? Primary. So the order is primary will undergo SN2 mechanism faster than secondary than tertiary. So tertiary prefers SN1. Same way benzylic halide and allylic halides also prefer SN1 reaction. So now look at this compound: halogen, alpha carbon, to the alpha carbon 1 carbon neighbor. So this is a primary halide. Now here alpha carbon to which the halogen is attached, there are 2 carbon neighbors, so this is secondary. As we are talking about SN2 mechanism, A will be undergoing faster reaction than B. What is the reason? You have to explain the reason. You have to say this is the order in which the alkyl halides would undergo SN2 reaction. So here A is a primary halide and B being a secondary halide, A prefers this reaction and undergoes this SN2 mechanism faster. Now look at the second example. Now this is alpha carbon. There are 2 carbon neighbors. So this is a secondary halide. Now here you have alpha carbon, 3 carbon neighbors. So this is a tertiary halide. So you know tertiary halide would prefer SN1 mechanism, but in the question they are asking SN2. So obviously A compound will undergo SN2 mechanism. Now coming to this is the alpha carbon. There are 2 carbon neighbors. So this is a secondary halide. Again here this is the alpha carbon. There are 2 carbon neighbors. Again this is secondary. So which will undergo SN2 mechanism faster? And do you remember in SN2 mechanism the nucleophile will attack the carbon from the side opposite to the halogen to avoid steric hindrance. So when the halogen is approaching, when the nucleophile is approaching, it usually prefers primary. You know why? Again, steric hindrance. In secondary you have 2 CH3 bulky group and in tertiary 3 CH3 bulky group. Now look at this CH3. Now look here, when the nucleophile is approaching, it is actually going to attack this carbon. Okay, this is the carbon with partial positive charge because it is attached to the halogen. So this is the alpha carbon. Same way the nucleophile will be attacking this carbon. So when the CH3 is here, it offers steric hindrance, but here the CH3 is on the 3rd carbon. So there is less steric hindrance. So this will undergo SN2 mechanism faster than this compound. But both are primary halides, but due to this steric hindrance effect, which will be preferring, this compound will be preferring SN2 mechanism. So let's see one more example. So look at this question. Identify A, B, C, D, E, R and R dash in the following reactions. They have given you 3 reactions. This question is also given in your book as in-text question. So you have to identify A, B, C, D, E and R, R dash. See, there is a D here. Don't get confused with this D. They are asking you to find out this D. Okay. See, the first reaction, they have given you two reactants. Bromocyclohexane. See, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atoms, cyclic. So, this is cyclohexane. This is not benzene. Okay. Cyclohexane, and you have a bromine. So, bromocyclohexane reacting with magnesium in the presence of dry ether. So just now we have seen a reaction of haloalkanes with metals. So when they react with magnesium, what would they form? They form Grignard reagents. And we have seen what are Grignard reagents. They are alkyl magnesium bromide. So this is the alkyl part. This is magnesium bromide. So you will get a ring, cyclohexane. In between Br and this ring, you will get Mg. Okay, so now I'll write that product. So look at the product. You have this cyclohexane and the Br is also here, but you're getting a Mg. So this is the Grignard reagent. Now I told you, when you have traces of water, what will Grignard reagents form? They form alkanes. So from this, what alkane is possible? This Mg, Br, OH will go out. So you will get a H here. So what you will get? Cyclohexane will be the product. So B is cyclohexane. So when you treat this Grignard reagent with water, you are getting an alkane which is cyclohexane. Now I'll write and show you the product. So the product is cyclohexane. And next, see the second reaction, RBr plus Mg in the presence of dry ether, it's giving you a compound C. That compound on treatment with DTO. What is DTO? It's just like H2O, it's deuterium oxide. D is deuterium, which is an isotope of hydrogen. You're getting CH3, CH, CH3, and you're getting a D here. So here you have to identify R and the compound C. See, you're taking a haloalkane and you're treating it with Mg. What you will get? You will get Grignard reagent. So you're going to get RMgBr. Okay, that would be the product, and our question is to find out what is R. So when you're treating that RMgBr with DTO, suppose if you're treating it with H2O, you will get an alkane. In this place of CH, you would have got another H, which would have been CH2. So now look here, this is the alkyl part. You had MgBr. When you treated this with H2O, the part where MgBr was attached, you got a H. Then you ended up with cyclohexane. Same way, in the part where the D is attached, there would have been what? MgBr. So this is the alkyl part. So what is R? CH3CH. CH3 is the alkyl part. So now look here. What is C? The CH3, CH, CH3. In that part where D is attached, it would have been what? MgBr. So the part where MgBr is there, that is the alkyl part. So the R is nothing but CH3CH CH3. What is this? Isopropyl. So you started with isopropyl bromide. So you have identified R also. Now going to the third reaction, they have given you a compound. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. In second position you have 2 methyl. In third position you have 2 methyl, and there are totally 4 carbon atoms. So 2233 tetramethyl butane is the name of this compound, and they have given you, this is the product. See, now look at the arrow. You are starting with R-X and this is your product. Okay, so now the question is, you have to identify this R dash, and then what will happen if this is treated with Mg to identify D. Okay, and then treating that D with H2O, you're going to get E, and you have to identify E also. Now look at this. When you're treating an alkyl halide with sodium in the presence of ether, what reaction is that? That is Uth reaction. So we have seen, if you are taking R-X, you have to take 2 molecules of R-X in the presence of 2 molecules of Na. You will get R dash bond R dash. That's what we have seen, R bond R. So when you are having R dash bond R dash as the product, which means this bond, this is the product. So what is R dash? This part is the R dash. What is this? This is tertiary butyl part. So you have actually taken tertiary butyl halide, 2 molecules of that. with 2 molecules of Na, you would have got this product. Okay, this is a tertiary butyl part and this is a tertiary butyl part. You are getting a 2233 tetramethyl butane. So now what is R dash? Now I'll write and show you. So this is the R part. Now this X, okay, tertiary butyl halide, when it is treated with Mg, what will be the product? You will get this MgX, that is D. So when you treat that with water, you will get a propane. Instead of MgX, you would get what? A H there. So that you end up with an alkane. So now look at these products. This is R dash X. So this is the R dash and X should be written here. So in the presence of Mg, you will get what? This part, alkyl part is there. In between that and X, you get an Mg. So this is what? A Grignard reagent. When you treat it with water, in the place where MgX is there, you will get a hydrogen. So this is a alkane, 2-methyl propane. The name is 2-methyl. See, 1, 2, 3 carbon atoms. In second position, you have methyl. This can be written as CH3, CH, CH3. So 2-methyl propane is the product. So this is how you have to apply your knowledge and try to predict the products. So all these products that we have predicted depends upon the reaction of haloalkanes with active metals. So the chemical properties of haloalkanes are completed. Thank you.